P365XL versus Glock 43X versus Hellcat Pro. Do it for the algorithm, right? Just kidding. I want to know, what is the best micro compact handgun on the market today? A lot of people are going to be like, Glock, 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 Glock. And a lot of people are going to be like, the SIG, the SIG, the SIG. And according to the analytics, quite a few of you are big fans of the Hellcat Springfield and all guns mighty with 15 or 17 with the extended base plate round magazines. Let's see how they hold up. Streamlight sent out their TLR7 sub for experimentation. They didn't tell me I had to do anything with it, but they sent it out. And I'm gonna shoot with it on because it's kind of a pain to take it off. Like, it's not super fast. And I'm gonna shoot with this Glock 43X, talk about some of the main features, and maybe talk about where it falls short. Glock 43X. It is kind of the bigger brother of the Glock 43, more or less. It's got a bit longer of a grip, so you would think, okay, yeah, it's gonna hold maybe 11, 12, possibly up to 15 rounds. And you'd be wrong if you thought that. Yeah, I don't think you did, but you would be wrong. It only holds 10 rounds natively. I don't know if you can see that okay, but holds 10 rounds. With the unmodified magazines, you can get base plate extensions, or you can run what you would call aftermarket magazines from people like Palmetto State, Armory. I think they have an extended one that holds more rounds natively, and also Shield Arms, they have a 15-round magazine. I've heard mixed results about those. Some people swear by them. Some people think they're the devil. It's the devil. It's the devil in a magazine. I don't think it's either. I think it's a piece of equipment. It's a manufactured piece of equipment, and that you can find failure points or high points in everything. But what does it come with natively? Like, if you just go to the store and buy a gun and carry it with you, 10 rounds, maybe that's enough for you. Maybe you've come from the world of 6 rounds, and this is a big upgrade. It's okay. This is the MOS edition, meaning it has a rail for a light, and if you want to, you can get an optics plate and then attach a red dot optic on the top. It's Glock, so you have the customization factors there, but it's also considered to be some of the most reliable handguns in the world. Really designed to shoot any ammunition that's in the right chambering. It's chambered for 9mm, so if you can run 9mm through it, whether it's steel case or something underpowered or something overpowered, it's going to shoot it pretty well. And my biggest hang up with this gun is the trigger. It shoots really well. It shoots very naturally, but the trigger is got the Glock Gen 4 bladed trigger, and it kind of hurts if you're going to shoot in the cold, or if you're going to shoot a lot all day, which you should be shooting your guns a lot, right? Or at least dry firing a lot, and it's going to get uncomfortable after a little while. So as you're, doing your little dry fire, going to the range, actually shooting for real, you're going to realize, like, oh my gosh, my little fingies, it hurts. Like, I don't know if you can see that little reddish mark on my finger. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but it's not great. It grips really nicely. I'll say that. It does grip really nicely. The sights on it are typical Glock sights. So, I don't know if you can see that, the U-notch with the plastic U-notch in the front post. Most people say when you get a Glock, make sure to upgrade your sights first. If you don't want to do all that, would you grab this? I don't know. It's a Glock. You should probably have at least one Glock in your stockpile. But if you had to grab a Glock, would it be the Glock 19 or the Glock 43X? Depends on what you want it for. But let's, I think I have one more round in here. Yeah, let's take a look at the target. I'm not standing far away. I'm a 3-yard sniper right now. But from 3 yards away, you better be getting results like this from any handgun. but we were getting good results. I'm gonna load up one more mag, shoot from 7 to 10 yards away, just to kind of give you an idea of how I shoot, and hopefully it's indicative of how you can shoot with some practice, at least a little bit, right? All right, so accountability time. I'll show you my targets. 4 shots on this target. I actually missed, but I hit the rest in the A zone for the 3 out of the 4. Try to hit the head box here, barely hit that. And as we're walking in, 3 shots made it in the A zone, 1 in the C zone. The gun is pretty darn accurate for a little tiny baby gun. Let's move on from the Glock 43X and see if it compares well to the other guns. Pros, this gun is accurate if you can shoot it well. It doesn't feel so snappy that you can't run it if you've been shooting guns for a while. Would a new shooter, would I recommend it for a new shooter? It might be a little snappy, but ultimately, if you can get past the fact that there's guns that have more rounds, 12 to 15, in form factors like this, this is a good option. But at a certain point, you may want to customize it to get more out of your training. So when this gun came out, I thought it was going to be the next big thing. I said, okay, so the Springfield Hellcat had some success. I did a review on it. It was a little 3-minute review, and it's somehow the most successful video on my channel. A ton of you liked it. A ton of you thought I was insane for saying that the gun kind of had a lot of recoil. It does. It's a micro compact gun. They're going to be a little snappy, and if you're not accustomed to that, or you're not willing to get accustomed to that, it may not be for you. This gun, when it came out, the Hellcat Pro, with the 15-round native setup, basically the same form factor as a Glock, Glock 43X, Glock 48, with the slightly longer barrel to give you a little bit better recoil control, and the longer grip to really help you to crank down on the gun. And some not professional features, but some features that kind of give it a nice touch, right? Like the texturing all across the board was there. The trigger was a little bit better, but I thought it could be even better. So we upgraded to the Tyrant CNC trigger, which I thought was pretty darn great. I think it may have an Apex tactical spring in there still, but otherwise it's pretty darn nice. We try to do stuff like change out the mag release, went back to the original just because it, to me, was the best thing for me. And unfortunately, we're still running the SMSC instead of the Holosun 407K. We should probably switch over to that as soon as we can. Because they're a pretty good price, like $200 for the best red dot in that, form factor. But ultimately, is this better than the Glock 43X? In some ways, yes, as in the capacity is better. So if you're a capacity queen like myself, this is the way to go. But you're not going to get a lot of the after-party support, the third-party aftermarket support from different companies who make Glock stuff. This is how it works. I talked to one of my guys who makes holsters, John from Filster Enigma, Filster Concealment. He was actually on the podcast, Constant Conversations podcast. Check it out. And he said, when you make a product, you make it first for Glock, then for SIG, and then everybody else is kind of on the bottom of the barrel. And that's been the case. Like it took a long time for Apex Tactical to make a trigger for the Hellcat Pro. It took a long time for anybody to really make any sort of additional products to really support that handgun. So if you're into tinkering, if you're into customization, all that stuff, the Hellcat Pro is not really for you. Now, if you want a gun that just shoots straight out the box, carries 15 rounds, and you can kind of just get busy like that, I think it's a solid offering. Now, let's go ahead and see how it shoots, right? That's gonna be the thing. Now, admittedly, when you change things like triggers and stuff like that, it's gonna give you a slightly different result. but I'll try to be as unbiased as possible. I think. Admittedly, I didn't get a full grip on that, but I was able to really nail down that first stream of consciousness. Those first 4 shots here, or 5, really nice little group. Second one, a little bit more out of hand, admittedly. When you're transitioning, that can happen, I guess. So here's the cool part. We put 5 shots on target left, 5 shots target right, and I still have 5 shots left. If I had the Glock 43X, I would be out of luck. Changing magazines, switching to your sidearm is faster than reloading, you know, stuff like that. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna draw, boom, put a shot on. We're gonna move back and try to get 4 more shots into the A zone as quickly as possible. And if we don't, I owe you a soda. So, funny thing is, even though this is the extended mag, I only loaded it to 15 for some reason. Don't do that, right? So this was, what do we have, 4 extra over here? Was 5 then 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this was from before, all in the A zone. Yeah, so the gun, I mean, full disclosure, red dots really help you to kind of keep that point of aim and point of impact, right? As in you can target focus, you don't have to focus on like, oh, are my sights lined? You're looking at a little red dot. If it's there, pull the trigger. If it's not there, wait, you know? So that's what we are. I think just bare bones, if you were to buy this gun, or just buy a Glock 43X and just have one or the other, the Hellcat Pro is kind of my first choice, if just as unbiased as possible. And I'll tell you why. This front sight is actually glow in the dark. The little rear notch U is kind of lame, but it's a glow in the dark front sight. These, oh, and it's metal, would you believe it? Versus the plastic sights that are on Glocks. Not glow in the dark. You know, we're talking about, oh, we more rounds in the Hellcat, better sighting system, just better overall. You have to pay extra money to get the optics ready version of the Glock 43, the Glock 43X, excuse me, the MOS edition. You don't have to do that with the Hellcat Pro. It comes pro already. Now, do I recommend that professionals carry it? Not really, but it's way more equipped, in my opinion. So that's my thoughts. Glock 43X gets knocked out in this round. Now let's see who comes out on top between the between the Hellcat Pro and the SIG P365XL and all the variants. Okay, so the final challenger is going to be the P365XL. It is so hard for me to say that. My brain has to do gymnastics. But does the name disqualify it from taking the trophy home as the king of micro-compact guns? Micro-compact-ish, because it's the big boy version of a micro-compact gun. It's not a compact, but it's still like somewhere in between. The P365XL, which comes nicely with a little bit more extension on the grip versus the baby version, and you can get the 15-round magazine, and it comes ready for an optic, and it has X-ray sights, which is kind of like a hybrid night sight situation. It's kind of hard for me to explain it. There's smarter people on the internet who can tell you a little bit more about those X-ray sights. So Oh, and if you want to get something like the X Macro 17 round magazine, you can get one for it. These are pretty cool. It will fit. It'll fit. So, should you get this over the Hellcat Pro, or does the Hellcat Pro, is it sneaky good? Is it so good that you should just go ahead and get the Hellcat Pro over this one? Just in regards to size, they're pretty much the same. Like, you don't need calipers in order to know that they're about the same. In regards to overall concealment, I think you can conceal the Hellcat just a little bit better than the XL with the extended magazine, the 15 round mag. So, I mean, there's that. But let's kind of get into the dirty Diana details of it all, right? How does this gun shoot? I'll tell you this. The trigger, I mean, if you've seen my video on the P365XL, you would know that my opinion on the trigger isn't super high. It's kind of spongy, but almost no micro compact has a great trigger, like, if we're being for real. So there's that. The overall grip, because the ergonomics on this gun, it's okay. I would say the Hellcat Pro is better in the sense that if you squeeze down on the Hellcat Pro, it gives you a little bit more traction. So if you're sweaty handed like myself, or if it's just really, really hot, or if there's bodily fluids on your hands for some reason, you know, if you get into a gunfight, you might have bodily fluids on your hand. That should be the only reason. And this doesn't quite have the same traction natively, but let's reference the Wilson Combat. I did a video on the different grip modules you can get for the P365XL. And the Wilson Combat grip module, if you buy that, I think it's like 70 bucks or less than 100 bucks, right? And it gives you a much better grippy situation, more sandpapery on the back and the front back straps. As you could see, I'm gonna overlay some of that footage. And it just kind of gives you a little bit more girth in the grip zone, in the grip zone, right? But I think that's kind of where it kind of stops, because this gun does something different in the sense that you can take the fire control unit out and put it into different grip modules, and the aftermarket supports this gun tremendously more than the Hellcat. So, if we're talking about out of the box, they're kind of the same. You can get the 15 rounds, you can, you know, get different attachments, you can get optics, you can do all the things. But if we go back to the aftermarket, the third-party support is so much better. But let's talk about how it shoots, because ultimately, maybe you don't care about upgrading your gun. You just want to know that if you need to use it to defend your life, you can. Well, let's see about that. Well, let's see about that, right? Come on. So from 4 or 5 yards away, 4 or 5 yards away, you can definitely do that rather quickly. You can shoot fast. I think we kept it kosher. Lost one to the C-zone. Guys, if you're not training with targets that kind of give you a good idea of what it's like to shoot AZO, C-zone, and beyond, what are you doing? Get you an infinity target or just a cardboard USB-A target. They really do help you to kind of gauge what's happening. Bullseye targets they're not it anymore. Come on, guys, you know better. Well, now you know better, right? The P365 shoots really well. I'm gonna say it shoots just as well as every other micro compact gun with barrels that are about this long, and grips that are semi-full, maybe a little bit narrow. The big appeal, and I did a video talking about, did the Glock 43X kill the Glock 19? And a lot of you guys said, well, no, because I would never carry a Glock 43X over my 19 because I have bigger hands and the narrow grip is just not comfortable and I'm not nearly as accurate with it. I think you can be accurate with any gun that you really put time into. Like if you get accustomed to shooting narrow guns, like your body muscle memory and abilities will compensate for the lack of grip or whatever, right? But in the long run, a lot of you feel the way you feel, right? Like, so what was I trying to say? Ultimately, I think you can be good with this gun. You can be good with any gun that's a micro compact. Like, look at it. So just look at it. These are 3 great guns. Great guns. And you would be fortunate to run any of them. If I had to pick one, I would say pick you up a P365XL. You can easily, like without much work at all, take it and switch to a Wilson Combat Grip, which is even better. Like, not that the original one's bad, but the Wilson Combat Grip is even better. And if you want more rounds and a bigger grip than even those, the X Macro Grip is even bigger. So either way, I think you'll be happy with these options. So yeah, P365XL wins, but ultimately it's up to you. Tell me down below, is there a particular handgun here that you are looking for, or were you just trying to see if your gun won? And what did I miss? Because I know there's gonna be people like, hey, well, you didn't even talk about the hammer forged barrel, or something like that. Like, what is it that made your gun win, even though I said that the XL won? Am I smoking? Do you not trust SIG because of the issues with the P320, and you just would never pick this gun up? Let me know down below. And like I said earlier, if you want to watch some of the longer form content, we do a podcast called the Costa Conversations Podcast. It's here on YouTube, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple. And it's got some of the coolest people in the gun industry that you've heard from and that you haven't. So hop on there and I think you'll be rather impressed. See you next time.